Hi, everybody. Welcome to GOAT Sports Performance. Dr. Tim Baghurst, joined by a special guest, Dr. Tom Allen, who is a former dean of OSU's medical school, also is the team doctor for OSU's wrestling team, and a competitor himself. So, Tom, thanks so much for joining me.
Well, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
I wanted to ask you a couple questions, and we'll start with your role as the medical doctor for the wrestling team. I'm sure you've seen a lot of different kinds of injuries, and I really wanted to ask how you can help athletes avoid injuries. If you're speaking to athletes now, what can they do so that they don't have to come and see you?
You're absolutely right. The athletes really are responsible for their health and the avoidance of injury. Although we have times when I've had to care for an injury that was unavoidable,
Sure.
many of them are avoidable. The injuries in wrestling are principally to the joints, to the ankles, to the knees, to the shoulders, and
Mhm.
sometimes neck. And if you think about those, all of those are supported by muscle.
Sure.
Tendon and ligament, of course, but the muscular strength is very important for them. So we want to make sure that they understand, and our wrestlers do, the importance of proper strengthening of the muscles combined with their flexibility. That's important. So athletes need to make certain that those muscles that support the joints, which are oftentimes at risk, they understand how important that is.
Okay, so a lot of times when we think about strength and conditioning, we think of the big heavyweights, the Olympic weightlifting,
Yeah.
the powerlifting. But what you're suggesting maybe is that exercises can be done with little weight and maybe even body weight to help strengthen those joints.
Little weight, body weight bands, perhaps, but we don't need massive weight for this particular purpose.
Right.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Now, you've been an athlete yourself, and you still are at 79 years young. And I think we have some pictures here of some of your exploits as you've progressed through your years. Tell us a little bit about the importance of being an athlete, even though, as I mentioned, you're 79, you're still competitive, you're still competing, and you're still training. Why are you doing this, and why should other people do this as well?
I do it because it's important for health and longevity. I like to say that regular, vigorous physical activity is the cornerstone of health and the key to longevity. And I've been practicing what I preach for a long time.
And here we can see some pictures of you. Now you're competing as a sprinter, if I'm not mistaken. And I remember when we first met, you were telling me about training for an event, and you were very excited about
Yes.
that. Uh, Describe kind of that feeling of still being competitive and still racing at your age, and just kind of the motivation it gives you to kind of train for that next one.
Now, in addition to the health effects, of course, that I mentioned before, I've always been competitive. I've been a competitive athlete since my boyhood days, so always have been involved in some sport. Track and field and pole vaulting were really my favorite sports. Although in high school, I played baseball and basketball
Mm-hmm.
and football, but I ran track and pole vaulted. So that was my favorite sport all that time. Why do I do it? I do it because activity in itself is fun, but winning is even better. And
Absolutely.
someone once said, Tim, what's your competition like? I said, well, there aren't too many of my age who are competing anymore. They're
Sure.
all stoved in, as we say out here, or they're not walking around. So not much competition. Well, not really true, because when we get to the big meets, there are some wonderful men my age who are competing.
But I think you can be a testament that if you progress and stay focused on being physically active through your life, you can still remain competitive and still athletic at, at your age.
Yeah, that's the key. Staying active throughout your life. Some of the most important decades for men and women to continue to be strong is during their 30s and 40s.
Mm,
And so many times I find people at that age are busy raising the family,
right,
getting their job going, and so forth, and forget how important it is.
right.
So you shouldn't take a break at all. I don't. Those who are listening to this now may be young people. Don't stop exercising. Stay with it all the way.
Well, thanks so much for joining me. And you've heard some great advice there, and I hope you consider it. If you have any questions for Dr. Allen, you're welcome to send them
Yeah.
to my website, which is goatsports.pro, and I'll be happy to pass them on. But until next time, this is Tim Baghurst. Thanks for watching.